For businesses, this is a defining moment. History is littered with market leaders who became irrelevant because they failed to adapt to the next great paradigm shift. Today, AI is that shift. And the imperative for organizations to plan for this future isn't on the horizon, it is here and now. Before we can explore the future, we must first understand the present landscape. The conversation about AI in business is often framed as a conflict, man versus machine. The reality, however, is a story of collaboration. As artificial intelligence rapidly evolves to match and even exceed human cognitive skills in certain areas, the implications for our jobs and society become more urgent every day. Our purpose today is to navigate this complex landscape, exploring both the optimistic vision of human-AI collaboration and the pessimistic warnings of obsolescence. At its core, artificial intelligence is the science of teaching machines to learn, reason, and solve problems, much like a human would. The current landscape, however, is being reshaped by the rise of generative AI systems that don't just analyze data, but create new content. Understanding the distinction between the familiar AI of yesterday and the powerful generative tools of today is the essential first step to grasping the changes ahead. To ground our conversation, let's start with a clear definition. AI is fundamentally the ability of a machine to mimic intelligent human behavior. It's not one single technology, but a broad field that includes powerful subdisciplines like machine learning, which allows systems to learn from data, natural language processing, which lets them understand our speech and writing, and robotics. The current landscape of AI isn't static. It's accelerating at an incredible pace, transforming nearly every industry. We're already seeing the impact of this across critical sectors, from diagnosing diseases in healthcare and managing risk in finance, to the development of autonomous systems like self-driving cars. The development of AI isn't happening in a vacuum. The key players are the primary engines of progress, pouring massive resources into research and development. They set the pace for innovation, foster collaborations that push the boundaries of what's possible, and crucially, play a central role in shaping the ethical guidelines that will govern this technology. The narrative is shifting from simple job loss to profound job transformation. As AI increasingly handles routine and data-intensive work, the value of uniquely human skills like strategic thinking, creativity, and emotional intelligence intensifies. This creates a fundamental shift in our employment dynamics, demanding a period of significant adjustment and a reevaluation of the skills we must prioritize for the future. From manufacturing and data entry to certain administrative roles, if a job's core function can be mapped as a pattern, it is fundamentally vulnerable to automation. This highlights a massive, imminent shift in the labor market. While the emergence of entirely new job titles is part of the story, the more immediate reality for most of us is the fundamental transformation of the jobs we do today. Therefore, the mandate is clear. To remain relevant, we must embrace continuous learning and actively cultivate the uniquely human skills that AI can augment but never replace. The economic value of routine skills may decrease, while skills that complement AI, like strategic oversight and creative problem solving, become more valuable, potentially driving wages for those roles higher. This creates a scenario of economic polarization, fundamentally rewriting the financial value of different types of human labor. Now, let's pivot from the challenges to the potential. The optimistic perspective frames AI not as a job destroyer, but as a catalyst for growth and innovation. By automating the routine and data-intensive tasks, AI doesn't just make us more efficient, it liberates human intellect. This allows us to redirect our focus toward what we do best: complex problem solving, strategic innovation, and deep creative thinking, ultimately driving economic expansion by unlocking the next wave of human ingenuity. Flipping the coin, we must confront the pessimistic perspective. From this viewpoint, widespread job displacement isn't a possibility, but an economic inevitability. This impact will not be evenly distributed, which in turn fuels a cycle of growing economic inequality. widening the gap between those whose skills complement AI and those who are replaced by it. Ultimately, all of this places immense strain on our social safety nets, challenging the very systems designed to support citizens during economic transition. To understand the road ahead, it's often wise to look in the rearview mirror. The Industrial Revolution serves as our most powerful historical parallel. Between the 1760s and 1840s, the roar of machinery began to displace farmers and craftsmen, pulling entire populations into new urban centers. The fear and uncertainty felt by those whose craft was suddenly made obsolete by a mechanical loom is a powerful historical echo of the anxieties we face with AI today. Continuing our historical parallel, the period from the 1830s to the 1850s marked a critical acceleration. This was the era when steam power and mechanization became widespread, unleashing a new level of production efficiency. Suddenly, factories could produce goods at a scale and speed that were previously unimaginable. This didn't just change business. It fundamentally transformed entire economic structures and for the first time made mass-produced goods accessible to the general public, permanently altering consumer behavior and daily life. In the latter half of the 19th century, from the 1860s to the 1900s, the consequences of industrialization came into sharp focus. This period revealed a stark duality. On one side, immense economic growth and the creation of a new industrial workforce. On the other, profound social upheaval. The new factory jobs often came with harsh, unsafe conditions and long hours. This wasn't a transition that society simply accepted. It was the crucible in which modern labor movements were forged, as workers began organizing to demand better conditions and fundamental rights. This history is a powerful lesson that technological progress and social progress are not automatically linked. Society must actively adapt and respond to the challenges that innovation brings. From the 1900s to the present day, we see the ultimate outcome of this transformation. The Industrial Revolution didn't just end, it laid the very foundation for our modern global economies. This provides our most critical lesson. It demonstrates a clear historical pattern where immediate, often painful, job losses are followed by significant long-term economic growth. Most importantly, it leads to the creation of entirely new jobs in emerging sectors, roles that would have been impossible to even imagine at the start of the transition. So, what is the ultimate lesson from this look back at history? It's that we have been here before. The Industrial Revolution shows us that profound technological disruption is a cycle of fear, upheaval, and ultimately reinvention. The key takeaway is not that jobs are simply lost, but that the very nature of work is transformed. If AI is the brain, then robotics is the body. AI provides the ability to perceive, learn, and make decisions. Robotics gives that intelligence the physical ability to move, manipulate objects, and interact with the real world. The true revolution is the fusion of robotics with artificial intelligence. This integration transforms them from simple mechanical arms following a pre-written script into intelligent systems that can learn, adapt, and problem solve in real time. This is what expands their capability far beyond the factory floor, opening the door for smarter, more flexible automation in countless new areas. This fusion of cognitive and physical automation blurs the lines, creating a far more complex and challenging narrative for job displacement across the entire labor market. For decades, the threat of automation was clear. Robotics aimed at predictable, manual, blue-collar tasks. The office, the realm of the white-collar professional, was considered a safe harbor. AI has shattered that assumption. The routine, predictable tasks that form the backbone of many administrative and analytical roles, things like compiling reports, managing schedules, or processing data, are precisely the functions where AI systems now excel. They operate with a level of speed and accuracy that humans simply cannot match. This places jobs that are heavily reliant on these structured processes at significant risk. And as AI technology continues to evolve, the scope of what it can automate is only going to expand, making this a critical area of concern for the modern white-collar workforce. Turning to the blue-collar sector, the threat of automation isn't new, but it is evolving. The real challenge here is the fusion of AI with robotics. When a robot is given the power to learn and adapt, it's no longer just a mechanical arm, it's an intelligent agent. This synergy allows automation to move beyond simple repetition, enhancing efficiency and further reducing the need for human labor, even in less predictable physical roles. To truly grasp the future, we need to understand AI not just as a tool, but as a general-purpose technology. This places it in the same category as the steam engine or electricity, foundational innovations that didn't just improve one industry, but became a fundamental utility that reinvented every industry. AI is today's equivalent. It's not a single product, but an enabling layer that can be integrated into virtually any process to enhance productivity, automate routine work, and optimize decisions. This is why its implications are so profound. We aren't just looking at changes to specific job roles, but a fundamental redesign of our economic models and societal structures, much like the transformations that followed the introduction of electricity. To understand the large-scale economic forces at play, we can look to a key economic theory, the concept of creative destruction, famously coined by economist Joseph Schumpeter. He described it as the perennial gale of innovation, a process where new technologies relentlessly dismantle old industries and jobs while simultaneously creating new, more productive ones. The economic upheaval we're witnessing isn't random chaos. It's a predictable, powerful cycle that economists call creative destruction. This historical example is perhaps our most powerful lens for understanding the present. As mechanization swept through society, it didn't just change farming, it rendered an entire way of life obsolete, causing widespread job loss and social upheaval. But that's only half the story. This disruption created a new economic gravity, pulling people into cities and creating manufacturing roles that hadn't existed before. The key lesson here is that innovation is both disruptive and transformative. It shows that while the transition can be painful, it ultimately reshapes economies, creating new forms of value and new types of work. As AI becomes a standard part of the business toolkit, it acts as a powerful new force on our wage structures. This creates the economic reality of wage pressure, which cuts both ways. 50%. This is the stark, high-end prediction for the scale of workforce displacement we could face due to AI and automation. This number, a potential 25% increase in unemployment, quantifies the human cost of the transition. This figure gets to the heart of the economic pressure AI places on the labor market. This isn't just about jobs disappearing, it's about the devaluation of the work that remains. This brings us to the creative side of the economic equation. A projected 15% job growth in tech-related fields sounds like fantastic news, and it is for some. But this is the very engine of wage disparity. This figure, 3.5%, serves as our economic baseline. It represents the current average wage growth in sectors that are, for the moment, relatively insulated from the direct pressures of AI. Taken together, these figures paint a stark picture not of a gentle economic shift, but of a rapid and polarizing fracture, driven by the widening chasm between the value of work that commands AI and the work that competes with it. As economists and tech leaders grapple with these forecasts, two major policy solutions are being seriously debated: a broad safety net known as universal basic income, and a market-based solution called the digital dividend. The first major proposal, universal basic income, is a direct response to the threat of mass job displacement. The concept is straightforward: provide every citizen with a regular, unconditional payment, creating a fundamental economic floor. The goal here is twofold. First, it acts as a robust safety net, ensuring everyone can cover basic needs, which directly addresses poverty and inequality. Second, and perhaps more importantly, in the context of this transition, it decouples survival from employment, giving individuals the financial stability and breathing room to pursue retraining, education, or new entrepreneurial ventures in a rapidly changing job market. The second major proposal, the digital dividend, takes a fundamentally different philosophical approach. Instead of a safety net, it's a market-based solution that redefines your personal data as a valuable economic asset that you own. The core argument is this: every search, click, and interaction generates the raw material that fuels the multi-trillion-dollar AI economy. The digital dividend proposes that since you are creating that value, you should receive a direct financial share of the profits. It's not a handout, it's a payment for a resource, aiming to ensure that the immense wealth generated by our collective data is distributed more equitably. This brings us to perhaps the most critical pillar of our adaptation: education. Our current educational frameworks were largely built for the industrial age, designed to produce a workforce with standardized knowledge for predictable careers. That model is now fundamentally obsolete. The first, most critical response is not a long-term goal. It's an immediate necessity for the period we are in right now. The pace of change requires us to move beyond simply talking about lifelong learning and start actively building the infrastructure for it. This means governments and corporations must work together to develop concrete policies that incentivize continuous education. This must be backed by significant investment in accessible and affordable adult education programs, ensuring that every worker, not just a select few, has the resources and opportunity to reskill and adapt to the new demands of the AI-driven economy. Looking ahead, the focus must shift from policy to practice. This is where we begin to integrate AI-driven technologies directly into the educational process itself. The goal isn't just to teach about AI. It's to use AI to enhance how we teach. It could be a system that personalizes the learning experience for every student, acting as an individual tutor that adapts to their unique pace and learning style. These technologies can enhance engagement through interactive content and provide instant feedback. This is about empowering educators with new tools to make learning more effective and relevant for the AI age. As we look toward 2030 and beyond, we reach the ultimate and most profound shift in our educational philosophy. By this point, the ability of AI to handle information and routine cognitive tasks will be a given. Therefore, the curriculum must pivot away from what AI can do and laser focus on what it cannot. This means prioritizing critical thinking, the ability to question an AI's output, not just accept it. It means fostering creativity using AI as a co-pilot for innovation, not just a tool for execution. And crucially, it means cultivating deep emotional intelligence, the skills of empathy, collaboration, and leadership that build teams and connect with people. In this future, our economic value won't come from competing with machines, but from mastering the uniquely human skills that guide them. Finally, we must fundamentally break down the wall between academia and industry. The traditional model, where educational institutions operate in relative isolation, simply cannot keep pace with the speed of AI-driven change. A curriculum developed today could be obsolete in 5 years. This means fostering deep, continuous partnerships where industries aren't just passive recruiters, but active co-designers of the educational experience. By aligning training programs directly with emerging job market demands, we create a dynamic feedback loop. This ensures that graduates enter the workforce with relevant, in-demand skills, transforming education from a static preparatory phase into an agile and integrated partner in the economic ecosystem. To realize the vision of lifelong learning for everyone, we must look beyond traditional institutions and toward global learning platforms. These are sophisticated online ecosystems that leverage AI to create a truly personalized educational journey. Imagine a platform that not only offers a vast library of diverse resources from vocational training to advanced theoretical physics, but also uses AI to guide each individual to the exact skills and knowledge they need when they need it. This is the key to democratizing opportunity on a global scale, breaking down the barriers of geography and wealth, and making world-class education accessible not just to the privileged few, but to anyone with an internet connection. This is how we create true equality of opportunity in the AI-driven world. In a world that's changing faster than ever, the quest for meaning and purpose has taken on new urgency. For centuries, many of us have defined ourselves by our profession, but as AI increasingly takes over routine tasks, it's clear that we must dig deeper to find what truly drives us. This is where the Japanese concept of ikigai comes in. Loosely translated as a reason for being, ikigai invites us to look beyond traditional career paths and explore what genuinely gives our lives meaning. In an era where job roles are less certain, cultivating purpose is not just philosophical, it's a practical form of resilience. Ultimately, ikigai suggests that our greatest strength in the age of AI may lie in rediscovering what makes us uniquely human and in finding fulfillment beyond what we do for a living. So, as we conclude, we arrive at the central tension of our time, the need to balance the profound hope and the legitimate fear surrounding the age of AI. We've explored the potential for widespread job displacement, the downward pressure on wages, and the risk of a deeply divided society. To ignore these challenges would be naive and irresponsible. But on the other side of that, fear lies immense hope. We've seen the historical precedent for this kind of transformation, leading to new industries and greater prosperity. We see the promise of AI as a tool to augment human creativity, solve our most complex problems, and free us to focus on more meaningful, human-centric work. The future will be determined by the choices we make today, by how we invest in education, by the social safety nets we design, and by the ethical principles we embed into these powerful new systems. And finally, for those of you who might be curious about the perspective behind this presentation, my name is Dr. Milan Toma. I'm an associate professor of clinical sciences at the New York Institute of Technology's College of Osteopathic Medicine, where my work puts me on the front lines of this topic every day. I teach our medical students how to use artificial intelligence to diagnose patients. This presentation is really the culmination of my work across several different areas. My direct experience in the classroom has led to my publications on the practical applications of AI in medicine. But I've also published on the societal challenges that accompany new technology, like the spread of misinformation, and on broader topics of human well-being. It is from this intersection of technology, human health, and societal well-being that I've shared these thoughts with you today. Thank you for your time and attention.